Hi, everybody. I want to talk about tillage and how I think it fits into regenerative agriculture. There's a lot of no-till people and theories, and that's just a word, that's very commonly used, and it can be a lot of different things. And it's certainly part of regenerative agriculture that you are trying to disturb the soil as little as possible. And so I want to talk about the two different types of tillage and basically parrot an Albert Howard point that not all tillage is the same. And that the common tillage that we use now to incorporate fertilizers and to make sure that the weeds are suppressed is what's called moldboard plow tillage, where you take the soil and you run a blade underneath it that's at an angle, and you scoop up the soil and you invert it. And you take the top 6 inches, 8 inches, foot, whatever it is, and you basically take what was on top and bury it under 6 inches, and what was under that 6 inches at the bottom, put it on top. And this destroys the seeds that we're setting up, and it puts the fertilizer that you want in the soil. It does all these good things, and they also say it aerates the soil because you put air into the soil as you turn it. But this is actually one of the most destructive things in terms of creating a positive decay cycle within the soil, because in the soil naturally set up is a process where the decay cycle at the surface is very extreme. It has all the weathering events like rain and wind and sun and heavy active breakdown from all these heavy elements. And then as it gets buried by other organic matter falling on top of it, that breakdown, which has already begun, will start to occur at a more biological level, and the little small organisms will start to eat it and digest it and make it smaller and turn it into something that will begin to decay better with less sunlight, with less wind, with just a moisture and not an active pounding rain. And the slower decay cycles will become more effective. And the subterranean areas where the earthworms start to work and where they appreciate the dark and where they're creating natural aeration, that's how you do it. And so when you invert it, you turn all this topsy-turvy, and you take the things that want it dark and cool and without a lot of wind, and you put them to the extreme exposure, and you take all the things that need the extreme exposure and you put them all in the slow decay areas. And so you do this several times, and you basically destroy all the little microbes that are doing their decay cycle dance. You basically invert everything so that the decay cycle can't catch up. And a lot of people will continually do this until the weeds are knocked out. And that's a real good sign that the biology has suffered so tremendously that it's really going to be hard for those weeds to take hold, for living aspects to take hold, and you're just going to grow your one crop irrigated and fertilized so that everything else has kind of suffered from it. And whenever you see tillage, regardless of which fertilizer they use, you almost always see the same thing: dead soil. And this is just the reality of the way we do our agriculture now. But there's another type of tillage that would be called like subsoiling, where you just drag a rod through hard compacted soil to break it up. And you're not really digging or diverting it. You're just basically taking some rods, maybe a foot apart or something like that, and dragging them across the field and creating a minor disturbance. And this shatters the pan, that hard pan that the water is hitting and running off. So when you're applying compost or something like that, you can just break the pan, incorporate it. And this is actually something that doesn't disturb the decay cycle that much, and helps you with adding the new amendments into something, shattering the pan before you try to add the amendments. And it gets more effective this way. And this tillage and done the right way, when you're adding compost and amendments, it can be good. That can be beneficial. It can help the decay cycle and help the incorporation of that new organic matter. And so in that way, that tillage is good. So the whole point is that tillage isn't necessarily good or bad. It depends on the disturbance level that you're doing and how you're doing it, why you're doing it, and if you're improving the decay cycle or if you're hindering the decay cycle. And to think about that when you're disturbing the soil. Anyway, thanks, y'all.